For our first lab today, we're going to explore the magnetic field of a compass. So what you're going to need for this is, you're going to need the magnets from your kit, and we'll separate these in a second. You'll need some way to mark the magnets. A Sharpie works really quite well, or you could use some tape and to mark the magnets, stick tape to it and mark the magnets. But either way, you're going to want some way, because we're going to want to identify the poles on these magnets. And you're going to need to know which way is geographic north. If you know that already, then that's fine. If not, we can use our app on our phone, our mapping app on our phone, to figure out what that is. So the first thing we need to do is to determine which way our compass is actually pointing, to make sure that we understand what is the magnetic north of our compass. Now, normally, the magnetic north would indeed be the red end of the magnet, but these magnets have been sitting in the bags with your with these little magnets here, and that are quite strong, and we may have remagnetized it. So we want to make absolutely sure that either the red points to geographic north, or the silver points to geographic north. So to do this, the first thing you want to do is make sure that your magnet is far away. I'm going to set this off to the side. And we're going to want to make sure that we know what geographic north is. Now I'm going to show you how you would do this with the phone app. Unfortunately, I'm in the middle of a building where I don't have a very good cell signal, so I can show you in principle how it works, but we won't get the right answer. I do happen to know that that way is geographic north in my building. So if you want to do it with your app, you can bring up your app, and you can notice that there's a location on here. That little dot, that's you with the shaded part. That's often common, and the shaded part tells you which way is pointing forward. So if I were to set this up, this would be pointing away from me. And over here on the right hand side, I can see a little compass with the red. That will point to geographic north. So as long as I was facing this way, this would say geographic north would be to my left and would point that way. Now again, I know that's not true in my building because I don't have a GPS signal here, but that's how you would determine geographic north if you're not sure what it is. Okay, now I know that geographic north, again, because I do know it's in that direction. I can see that the red end of my magnet is pointing to geographic north. One last warning, you want to be away from any power strips. You'll notice that if I get this near some source of electricity like a power strip, it turns, because this will be producing its own magnetic field that we'll see how that works in a second. So make sure that you're kind of well away from any power cords and anything like that as well. So I know that this is geographic north, and the red is pointing to geographic north. But remember what we know about the geographic north pole of the Earth. It is a magnetic south pole. And so because of it's a magnetic south pole, and we know that opposites attract, I know that this red end is a magnetic north pole, and that this silver end is a magnetic south pole. If my compass had been flipped by 180 degrees, which is what happened if we remagnetize it, then I would know the silver was a magnetic north pole and the red was a magnetic south pole. But again, in my case, the red end is a magnetic north pole. Now we can try to learn about our magnet and what is north and south of our magnet. So I'm going to take the magnet, and I'm going to just use my tape holder to help me keep them from sticking together. And I'm going to separate them. And so remember what I said about separating them. You want to be a little careful. They're very strong. You don't want to get your fingers pinched between them. So I'm just going to slide them to the side. You won't be able to pull them straight apart. Slide it to the side and get it off. And I'm going to put that one in there and set it well to the side so it doesn't interfere with my measurement. Now I'm going to bring my magnet in. And I notice that this red end is very strongly attracted to this end of the pole. Now remember what we said, this was a magnetic north pole, which tells me that this end is a magnetic south pole. And if I flip my magnet around, I notice I go to the other end. I knew the silver was magnetic south, and hence this would be magnetic north. And so I'm going to mark this as magnetic north. I'm going to just write an N on it. You'll want to let that dry. These are chromed, and so that will smudge pretty quickly. I'm going to do the same thing with my other magnet. I'm going to take this one and swap it around. And I'm going to bring my other magnet in. And again, I notice that this end is attracted. This is a magnetic south pole, the silver end, so that this is the magnetic north. I drew a dot on it already. And if I were to turn around and confirm it, this other one is a magnetic north. Okay. Now, we ask you to explore what the magnetic field looks like around it. And so to do that, what I want to do is I'm just going to pull the magnet around, and notice how it's beginning to turn as I get farther away. And if I were to do this kind of systematically on a piece of paper, you don't have to do this. You could draw a dot at either end of the compass and then move the compass so this end was at the dot and so on and so on. But I'm just going to kind of map it out here, and you can kind of see what's happening. As I get further away, this thing begins to turn, and it follows around, and it follows this field that comes back over here, which says that the field line looks something like this. And remember that we said that magnetic field lines leave the North Pole and will enter the South Pole. So that the field lines on this would look like they were coming out and they would loop around and come into the South Pole. And there's a picture in the lab that shows you what that is. So spend a little time exploring what the magnetic field looks like and answer the questions.